Well, here we are. It's Wednesday. Got that thing there. Missing socket that I'm not sure what I've done something with. Magnetic nut cup that's usually on the gantry crane. We've got the punching bag stand that's always in my way. Over here, we've got our engine stand, but there's a problem. There's not an engine on it. Speaking of that, I should be running into the gantry crane somewhere in this area. I can't seem to find it. Oh, what's this? Why, there's the gantry crane, and what's it doing? There's a motor in the truck. It's kind of weird. Not used to it. So what happened Monday after work? I left around 6:15, somewhere in there, and picked my nephew up, brought him out here. Mom and sister came, and we got this thing in here. The gantry crane, if you note, is up a couple of slots. You know, I'd always just had it in the default position. It is now on the third hole, and just like with the cherry picker, this turned out to like barely clear. I thought the second hole was going to clear, and I'm glad I went ahead and pushed it to the third hole, because the oil pan, I would say, was, you know, probably like right there-ish. So keep in mind, you know, this is a four-wheel drive. It's also an off-road package, which, you know, it's got a lift from the factory. So if we were dealing with, like, say, an SST or an Indy Ram or just two-wheel drive, probably could have gotten by as is, or on the first hole, most likely, is as high as we'd need to go. But yeah, this part was fairly smooth. We basically just shimmied the gantry back. I had the engine stand, you know, like as close as I could without it, you know, like I factored in that it might spin, you know, 90 degrees or so violently. Then slowly, I had my sister on one side, me on the other, and we just moved the crane back in place. My nephew, raising the crane, I have to say, like, went really well. I was on this side, my nephew was on that side, and we just sort of simultaneously cranked it, which turned out to be great. Zero complaints there. Kind of sounds funky on my side. I don't know if his sounded the same and I couldn't hear it or what. But, that was interesting, but it kept going, so all's good. The problem I had, and where I spent the majority of my time, was standing right down in there. And what would happen, the motor mount here on the passenger side, I could get in fine every single time. Driver side motor mount did not want to go at all. What would happen, the rubber face of the bushing, like if this is the lip, you know, like just this black core support piece, if this is the hollowed out section and that's the cradle for our spool type motor mount, basically what was happening is this side will clear just fine, but then this one, it would hit the rubber right on the edge, and then as you lowered the gantry, the rubber would start turning up. Really, really, really annoying, and it took a lot of time. I mean, a lot of time. I was out there, I was up early Monday because I had a delivery in a convenient window of 8 to noon. So yeah, I was out here in the shop waiting on that, then went to work, came home, did this. It's like in the 70s this week, which is crazy cool for us. We've been being in the hundreds, but it's also humid because it's raining, so it's kind of a catch-22 deal. Nonetheless, I had a 3-foot rod. I think it was like 5/16 or 3/8. I was trying to push on it. I had my sister out here pushing on it. My nephew was handing me VH screwdrivers as we tried to like shimmy it. And ultimately, what finally got me in there was a good old little Pittsburgh breaker bar from when I was like in college or something. So, just say breaker bar, it's a pry bar. But I was able to just finally push it with this hand while I lifted the engine kind of up and over. I essentially positioned the gantry, and this is something great. The gantry makes it so much easier than, say, a cherry picker that's got a hydraulic pump on it, because if I want to go down like a fraction of a chain link, I can go down a fraction of a chain link. So on the passenger side, I positioned that mount just to the point where, like, if it rocked any, it wasn't going to come out, it would just bang in or bang back. And so I was lifting up on that side and sort of away to tweak the engine to go back a little bit that way while she pushed, and then I wedged it in with this and I just lowered it, and that was that. And I planned to buy everybody like, you know, Victory Pizza or chicken fried steaks. I was thinking maybe it'd take like an hour and a half or something, you know, and I think we went in like sometime between 9 and 9:30 and called it a night there. So, you know, I had to go out to work early the next day, and I worked 15 hours yesterday. Never got to eat. I did have something for breakfast, but like lunch didn't happen. Then I made like dinner here pretty late, and it was nasty, and I hated it. And didn't even come out here to check anything, but I figured I'd give it an extra day to make sure it wasn't gonna fall or do something stupid. So it's still kind of surreal seeing it with, you know, like as long as the truck has been down. So I kept having kind of like interference back here. I had it there for a while. Over here, I don't know if like the flange off the headers was like hitting one of the heat shields or something. That's all I could figure, but you're in such an awkward position you couldn't really see anything. There is still a slight load on the gantry because I'm at a point now where I need to get the bell housing bolts in. That's going to be my next thing. I'm not going to tighten the motor mounts down. I'm going to try to get like a bell housing bolt at least started or located or something. That's super difficult to film down there. I'll see if maybe I can do something, but you've seen me take it apart. There's like the reverse procedure there, and to get this in, the other thing I did, I don't know if it wound up helping or not, but I crawled back under the truck. I've had the transmission up on a little Harbor Freight transmission jack, you know. It's actually pretty dadgum cool. It's like a scissor lift, the cheap one. Works really well. I don't know if it came down any, but when I raised it and jostled the crossover pipe, that's when I sort of got to have a little bit more swing here. This was still a royal pain in the butt. Ultimately, cliff notes for anyone that has watched this: if you're doing anything more than flipping one of these trucks, if this is your dream truck, if it's your original, if your dad or your grandpa had it, if you're building it for one of your kids, if you have the means of lifting the cab, the interior, whatever you want to call it, off of the chassis, your life would be so easy. I mean, I can't tell you how easy this would then become. It would still be annoying with like the reach you have versus like a passenger car type of a thing, right? But you'll run into so many issues that it's just insanity. This, even with the gantry, was kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, to put this in perspective, you've heard me lecturing here in these last several parts how, you know, like that crossover line disappears under the cowl and the distributor's back there and the oil sensor and our, you know, crank position sensor, and none of it's there. Now you can kind of see what I'm talking about again. Like, the engine is all the way back there. There's all this space here, and 90% of that's eaten up by a fan shroud, right? Because the fan sits here and then the shroud comes all that distance. But this is not like working, you know, on the Duster or the Charger or a car. With that firewall back that far and then the cowl coming over the top of like the back third or so of the engine, it's a problem. And unfortunately the motor mounts are recessed as well. There was a good long chunk. My sister just kept thinking I was tearing the truck up where that gantry crane, you know, like the chain pickup point was. It was chewing into the rubber. I'm not too concerned. Most people don't even know there's a seal that's supposed to be there, and there is. But, the adhesive on mine has always been bad on the passenger side. I'm talking like early 2000s. That was already like coming in. I just constantly push it back, but might get a new one. I don't know. I'll have to see how bad it looks, but I don't think it chewed it up as bad as we thought it did, so that's cool. We have a ton of connections to make up here. That would be easy. I'm not going to do any of that until I get the bell housing bolts in. I don't want to do anything up here. So, but it's in. It looks awesome. I ordered some crud off of eBay. I'll just go ahead and tell you in case you're watching. Power steering bracket, like that's black powder coated. It looks awesome. Somewhere down in here, right there, you're looking at the back of my power steering deal. It doesn't look bad, but it's a cast aluminum piece, and I'm thinking, man, you know, what if I wanted that powder coated? Plus, as I keep saying, I want this to be a complete functional engine, and I want the 5.2 to be a complete functional engine, meaning if we go out and we do something stupid and blow this thing up, if I have to wait on the machine shop, you know, to fix it or, you know, do whatever, I technically could drop the 5.2 back in it. It's kind of just the way I operate. And like I said, if the 5.2 had grenaded or something catastrophic, I wouldn't be thinking along those lines, but it's a water pump, man. and freeze plugs, and they're very, very easy to change with the motor out of the truck. So I'm also thinking, I believe this is, you probably don't care, but it's relatable. I think this bad boy right here is the bolt that would go right there to hold the oil dipstick to the front accessory bracket. So I'm pretty sure that's it. This guy, I don't know. I'll have to get a length on it, but I'm wondering if it was something with a front accessory bracket too. It's I'm not gonna lie, I had to go rewatch some of my old videos, and luckily, you know, that documents the process. But there's another angle in the motor. The thing looks killer in there. I'm super happy with it. But again, the bell housing will be the challenge now. So we'll make the standalone videos, reconnecting everything, attempting to figure out what the heck we labeled, and hopefully we did a good job. And yeah, it's one of those deals, like I said, it's really hard to film that stuff, especially like when you're the guy and, you know, sweating. I mean, literally, your jeans are sticking to you. It's that bad. Last thing you want to do is like grab a camera and film stuff. So it's in there. It was a pain. I'm not going to sit here and candy coat it and tell you how easy it was, or the gantry just made it so simple. The gantry was a huge help, don't get me wrong, for the reasons I mentioned, but just with the cab forward design, with the engine mounts back, this is going to be a pain. This is less of a pain, but it's still a pain. It was not easy. It was taxing. It was annoying. It was frustrating. All that stuff. Mild-mannered people will probably be cussing. All that sort of stuff. I went off on the engineers a few times. And I'm a pretty big Mopar guy, so I mean that tells you what we're dealing with here. But like I said, if you have a lift, if a buddy has a shop with a lift, if you've seen this and you think, man, you know, if I just had a lift, get a lift. If you can't get a lift and the buddy doesn't have a lift, consider going somewhere that does. Maybe there's like a U-wrench place. You know, maybe like book yourself for a weekend or something, because lifting the cab off, oh god, that would be so easy. Not necessarily lifting the cab, I've never done that, but in terms of you putting a motor and transmission even together in this truck, even with a cherry picker, like a 1-ton, like I have sitting over there that couldn't lift high enough to clear anything to get the engine out, it would make your life easy, and it would be super worth it. If you're the type of person that you've got to have like an excuse to get something like sort of more expensive like a lift, this is a really good reason. I might be able to fit one in here. Like, my issue is it's a low ceiling, because at the time, you know, I wasn't thinking of like having a ton of cars, or, you know, it was like I need the Charger and the Duster, you know, that's gonna be super cool, and it is, but I've got like this span here, again, it's like 13 feet, and so like theoretically, like the cab of a vehicle could go up, and then like maybe under that we'd have like the hood, and under that one the trunk. We'd have to watch going up, you know, type of a deal. The biggest perk of that to me, aside from stuff like this, which becomes way easier, is like you can double your parking. I mean, as a true car person, you know, like if you've got a space that you can fit 4 vehicles, but you had 2 lifts, you know, you can fit a lot more vehicles now, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the perk there. Realistically, I'm kind of outgrowing this shop, but that's expensive. It's not something you want to cheap out on, right? So in terms of that, if you're building yourself a shop and you just think like, oh man, you know, if I had like a 20 by 30, it'd be killer. It will be, but you'll take advantage of your space, you know, all the increase in space, and you'll quickly fill it up. And then you'll wish you had like a 30 by 30 or a 30 by 40. Best advice I can give, you know, if you're sitting there and you're thinking like, man, you know, I'm getting a new house, or got this old, you know, junker place my wife loves, and we're going to renovate it, she's going to let me build a shop in the back. Don't sink in money. Like, don't go out and buy like a $10,000 toolbox. Put that money in your shop. If that gets you another 500 square feet, do it. If it gets you like a little L kick out, do it. Whatever square footage you can have is infinitely more valuable to you than any of that stuff. So keep that in mind. And like I said, I mean, this dates back a long time when I built this, and it was like, oh man, that's massive. This is insane. You know, it was this elation, and it's full. So little things like maybe getting like a shed, you know, to put the mowers in or something would be super nice and open up some more space. But That is what it is. The Jag's fender cover here, if you're wondering where it came from, it's the pair with that one. I've got the Heikos inside, got the Mopars on the Duster, but look at that, got the welder uncovered. So, and I was disappointed because I keep that cover there to keep the dust off the welder, and I realized it's covered in dust, which was not why the fender cover was there. So, anyway, that's that. And I'm going to come over here, get you this angle again. It looks awesome. I'm ecstatic. It's a huge relief. You actually like feel accomplished. You know, like you do all these little things. You're like, oh, fuel rails, injectors, distributor, plug wires, wire holders, accessory, all these little things you have to do. But like, this is the big moment. This is like getting the engine in is huge. Obviously, startup is like the real payoff, right? The truck. My sister's quote, I think, was like, I don't know, she said something along the lines of, I don't know if I'm ever going to ride in that again. It's going to be so weird. It'll be like a ghost coming back. I don't know if she means to insinuate she doesn't trust my work or what, but we'll see. The Duster, years ago, whenever we put the 408 in it, first ride, like one of the first rides, I took my mom, and I was like, you know, trying to impress her and get on it, you know, on the service road to the highway. There was so much crap in the vents, like just leaves and dust, you know, from like the 70s and 80s and 90s, and that crap went everywhere. I mean, I had sunglasses on, it like covered my face, got behind the lenses. It was pretty insane. I don't think the truck will be quite like that, at least. So, but yeah, I bet my nephew will, you know, go on a maiden voyage with me, so that'll be cool. But super, super excited and ecstatic about this. I'm still tired, still absolutely drained, but I'm going to crawl under there. I'm going to see if I can get some... I've actually got to find the bell housing bolts. I'm not going to lie. I should have them tagged somewhere or left them threaded in. I don't exactly know. It's been a while. I'm going to figure that out tonight, hopefully. Start playing around, trying to get them in place. And if I do that, maybe we'll tighten up the motor mounts, get the gantry crane off. In terms of parking the gantry crane, I don't know. Like, with it out of the way, there's like all this space again, and it's awesome. The punching bag stand is a constant, like... Anywhere I go, that seems to be in the way of the gantry. So, anywho, this is the main thing. Again, I feel bad not, like, videoing it, you know, and, like, you don't see me in there sweating, you know, for 45 minutes, cussing stuff with pry bars and 3-foot rods and everything, but it is what it is, and, couldn't be more relieved, really, to just see it back in the truck. So, gonna work towards anchoring it, getting it more of a permanent installation, if you will. But it is technically in, and that's good enough for me right now. So, I'm still drained. My apologies. I've got to go in at 6:30 tomorrow morning and the next day, Friday before the 4th. So, we'll see. You know, at least maybe I'll get like some time out here over the weekend, and we're gonna go places. It's typically like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and July 4th is like, when you work industrial, that's like the only times you can really ever like shut down and go places. We're too busy. I don't think it's going to happen this year. Plus, we're getting so much rain, we're getting a lot of people coming in, so, you know, it is what it is, but on the bright side, it's kind of like going to stay cool and rainy, so with my screen up, maybe I can get a draft in here and just kind of, you know, not be wrenching in 100-degree heat, be wrenching in the 70s and humidity. So probably works out about the same. But yeah, the 408 in the truck looks freaking sweet. Like I said, the next big payoff is going to be firing it up. Granted, I will do so very timidly, checking for leaks, listening for weird sounds, you know, making sure there's not like an exhaust leak or fuel or anything. And then we're gonna drive this thing, have some fun. So then I can get the Challenger in here and change the oil, man. That'll be nice too. So with that said, I will quit rambling. I hope you've enjoyed looking at this thing as much as I have. If you've been here, the long-time viewers of the series, can't tell you enough. Again, you are the people I'm trying not to mislead. The gantry crane was awesome for this, but it's still a pain in the butt. If this was the Duster, I mean, the gantry crane would be a godsend, and it would have been amazing, and it would have made things super, super simple. But that's not the case with the Cab 4 design. So I will also tell you this. So those two guys there, I opted to go with the 2-ton. Why? Because I've got it. It's super nice to be able to control like the precise height. Like I can start pulling on that, and it's so slow going up or down, like you have very precise control, you know, like with if you release the pressure on the cherry picker, you can go from like this position to this position just like that. Then you have to, of course, pump it back up. You know, it's not super fast either. Getting this from the stand to the height to clear the core support and the grill guard, that took a lot of time. I mean, it was a lot of chain pulling going on. So the electric options might be something you look into. Again, I have no idea why the electric hoist that they sell doesn't mate with the trolleys that they sell. It makes no sense to me. I don't know why they don't have one. People that buy the gantry would buy that. It doesn't honestly cost much more than the chain hoist. But that might be something I look into. Again, my idea with having these two was like if I pick up an axle or something weird, like a long shaped item, you know, even just like, say I ever added, you know, like a proper bandsaw in here or something, like if I was picking up solid rounds to machine stuff with, it's just really nice to be able to have two pickup points on something. So obviously if I did get an electric, I would probably keep these two hung, put them off to the sides, wrap the chain so they're not constantly dragging the floor, and just have the electric in the middle. Take it from there, right? But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave the gantry at this height because I think that's about as high as I can go and still clear these beams, the two beams in the middle, and that'll allow me more flexibility with the gantry. Maximum flexibility in terms of where to park it, but also the biggest thing, it sort of helps keep the chains off the ground. Like I think that might be hitting. If it is, it's not much. I mean, used to it was like a fistful of chain, you know, all over the place. So anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling, and like I said, my apologies you didn't see like the action stuff. Hey, that's my wrench and I can't reach it. I mean, this is the problem, you know, like if this was the front of a car, I could hit the carburetor and the distributor. Especially if it was a big block, the distributor's up front, but like a small block, I could reach it from here. But this is the truck, I'm up against the grill guard, and I can barely touch the chain, you know, so that's one of those things you run into. But yeah, I will do my best to film like all this reconnection stuff, which it's been a while. It's going to make it interesting. But right now, I'm going to go try the bell housing bolts. I'm going to quit rambling so I can hopefully get something done. But a huge progress point in my opinion. So again, thanks to everybody for tuning in, checking this out. Again, if you go with Eddie heads on this, be prepared to modify your CPS. If you put the heads on with the truck, you know, parked, you know, like your engine in the bay, and you put the heads on and everything, you're going to have issues with CPS bracket interference. So keep that in mind. That's something I learned the hard way. But luckily we got it taken care of. So I'm going to check out everything, make sure nothing's too damaged from the install, work on the bell housing bolts, call it good. So as always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. On that note, on Instagram for sure, I will post pictures of this thing like going in, because I did take a few with my cell phone. You know, like a couple of times I had to come out and like literally get a shop rag to get sweat out of my eyes because I could no longer see what I was doing. So when I did that, I took the liberty to go ahead and snap a few pictures. I'll have some there. I will try to remember to put them up on YouTube. Facebook, you know, I'm not too big on posting pictures there. It's just kind of where I put links. But I'll try to remember maybe Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'll try to get some pictures up. So that said, I'm going to get back to work. I think I just heard a clap of thunder, so maybe another rain shower's coming in. But super excited. I'll also finally have the Tecton 1/2-inch swivel. I've had it down there on that transmission jack the whole time. So works perfect for that, by the way. But yeah, I'm going to go try to make some progress here tonight, and I will catch you in the next thrilling installments of Ram Revival.